Healing crystals, skincare routines, knitting a sweater, fitting in jeans. With Katie and Sarah, no need to worry, you're on a lady journey.
Fun. Hello.
Welcome
to Lady Journey. Lady Journey.
We're doing it.
Oh my God, we are doing it. It's very freezing down here.
I cannot wait till the warmer months. We would put a space heater on, but it'll make too much noise, or it's enough to be annoying.
Yeah, and it could catch on fire. And then it's like, we're not going to stop. We literally cannot stop.
We have 3 more episodes to pump out. We will get this done. That is a fear of mine. I had that the other night where I'm like this. Did I turn the space heater off?
Oh, that's me with everything.
It has a thing that it will turn off. It will kick off.
Oh, that's good.
If it's like...
I wish my oven had that because I keep leaving it on. Mike's like, you left the oven on again. I'm like, was that me? It's like, yeah. You're the only person that lives here.
Doesn't it make you feel like you're like a weird alcoholic when you do something like that? You're like, oh no. I left the stove on low flame, I would say for maybe like 2 hours.
Oh my God. I thought you were going to say like 2 days.
But enough to be like this. Oh my God. Oh my God.
God. No, it's like gaslighting yourself.
Yeah. You're
being
like, I'm a bad mom,
but
even though you have no kids.
Well, after I left the oven on multiple times, then now it's like every time I leave the house, I'm like, I like get to the bottom of the steps. I'm like, meh, is my oven on?
It's a fear because I don't have renter's insurance, even though
Who has it? Who has it?
I know, but it's $15 a month. It's really cheap. I like that we're both like, when we drink, we're like this. It's cold.
It's so cold.
Yeah, but it's only $15 a month, but for some reason, the policy will run out and then I forget to renew it because I got it with our car insurance.
Oh.
We had this with the medical insurance. I don't even want to get into the debate.
You have a lot of insurances. I'm so jealous.
Well, Joe's doing all right, but like he forgot to press auto pay on it. So we had insurance for 1 month. And then, you know how they're like, it's not in the window, where you're like, what do you mean it's not in the window? And you're like, you don't want to take our thousands of dollars now?
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
We got quoted something. This is a whole other lady journey, but like Oscar Health originally quoted us at $6,000 a month.
Oh my God.
If we were loaded, that is still an insane amount of money to give to like when something might bad happen.
That's like, I can't even calculate how much that is, but that's like a full salary.
Isn't that $72,000 a year?
Wow, great job. Yes. I know. I'm like 6 times 12. What is it? I know it's a lot. I mean, $72,000, like that is the salary of a king.
Yeah, right.
Like, what do I own, a small country?
I made 1 year $50,000 as a job here in New York, and I thought I was loaded.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah.
Well, they say that $60,000, maybe this is a couple of years ago that they said that, but in New York City, $60,000 for 2 people is like you're well off in New York.
I could make, because I had roommates at the time, so my nut was probably pretty much, it's lower than what it is now.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I remember being like, I can almost eat out once a day, and that was fine.
Wow.
I went on a few vacations. It didn't even bother me. Like, I managed to pay off debt, and then...
That's so great.
Oh, and then save money. But it just shows you, like, sometimes, like, even... that's not a lot of money compared to what I know, what my friends make that have been out of, college for years and work a regular...
That's more than I've ever made. I think the most I've ever made is like $35,000.
Yeah.
And then those years I was like, okay, I'm starting the IRA.
Here we go.
High roller. Yeah.
Yeah. It's but it's insane. Like I was like 6,000, even if we were really rich, that's
nuts.
For a rainy day. You're like, I think it's cheaper for me to just get cancer and pay it at base rate.
Yes, just pay out of pocket for the chemo.
Yeah.
I talk him down. I will give you cash. Now
This is all I have.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm on Medicaid still, which is great. I got on it when I left my day job. So and I've managed to not make more than $10,000 a year.
That's what it does, though. I've had friends that got a job to do like a TV show, and they were like, just like a walk-on or just like a little appearance. And she was like, I can't do it because that kicks me off Medicaid.
Wow.
It just shows you like the way that the system is rewarded is that you have to be either really poor and you get rewarded or really rich.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would love to not be on it, to be honest. I would love to get a walk-on line in a show and then but I think because, I lucked out the past couple of years because of COVID. They just rolled everybody on.
Oh, yeah. I think if you were on unemployment.
Yeah.
I mean, what a sweet spot that was.
What a sweet spot. I mean, Medicaid is great unless you need it for any reason.
Yeah.
It's great if you're like, okay, just doing my gyno checkup or like just going to get like a little shot or something. But like I one time thought I had a lump in my breast.
We all do.
Yeah. I thought I had a lump and I went in to the gyno and they wrote me the referral. And I went into some like scary industrial basement in Brooklyn Heights. And I was there for hours and hours. And I got the mammogram. And actually, when I went in to get the mammogram, like, because my tits are so small that they had to get like a special clamp. I was like, okay.
It's just taking them a while to go get it. They're like, I think it's here somewhere.
They're like digging through the like children's. So that was mortifying. And then I had to go from that to I had to get the like EKG or whatever when they like put the jelly on you.
Yeah.
And that was like insane. And it was just this like random person. I have like the jelly all over my tits. And I'm just like, you're so vulnerable. I'm like laying there like wearing paper. And the woman just like left. She was gone for like 45 minutes. And the doctor came back in. And the doctor like yelled at her and was like, yeah, this isn't cancer, okay? Like, this is what this is. And when you see somebody that has this, and I was like, oh my God. I was like, did I almost just get diagnosed with cancer?
Yeah.
By like a random woman who's not even a nurse, who's just like puts the jelly on you. And then like they were like, okay, you're done. And the doctor was like, oh, you just have cysts. It wasn't even in like the breast. I thought I had the lump.
Tits.
You just have like a lot of cysts. Well, but I was like, but what about the lump? And she was like, that's your chest. So I was like,
oh, okay.
Thought that I had a lump in my breast, but actually it was just the muscle of my chest because my boobs are so small.
Like,
it was like my rib.
Do you guys have a gun? Like this is the saddest day of my life.
It was so sad. But I was there it was really like 6 hours.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, good thing I didn't have anything wrong with me because that would have been the worst.
Oh, it's mortifying. This is fine. We're going into a medical journey. We didn't jot this down.
This was not on our item of stuff to discuss.
But sometimes when you plan a lady journey, you take another kind of lady journey.
You take a left field into tits.
We're in left field into tits, but like sometimes going to the doctor is mortifying. Like I remember our friend, he was telling me I guess he gave oral sex to a guy and he thought he got an STD from it, and then they were like, nope, you're good. And he just basically just told people that he just blew a guy over the weekend.
Yes, it's so mortifying going to the doctor. And then you're like, I think something happened when I was doing anal, which I don't usually do, but it was his birthday. And
they're like, it's fine.
You're like, they've seen worse. Well, my mom is an emergency room nurse.
Yeah.
And she does listen to the podcast. Thank you, Mom.
I bet you there's
she loves
some
it.
Amazing stories.
She's so funny. Like, if I ever see her meet another person of the ER, like, it's such a unique trauma that you share. You have, like, a trauma bond with the person immediately. Where
the
it's like,
humor is different.
Yeah, it's like, hey, have you ever been hit in the face by a homeless man?
Yeah.
It's like, yes! Well, I was.
I feel like also, like, in those situations, you also take verbal abuse.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I remember watching A&E Intervention, and I'm like, I wonder how many times one of the main interventionists was Candy Finnegan, and I was like, I wonder how many times she gets called a
Yeah. That
She's
show.
like, well, this is why I do it.
Yeah. That show is so intense.
Oh, I miss it. That was how I once I knew that I was an alcoholic, because once I stopped drinking, I stopped watching that show because I didn't need to be like, well, I'm not that bad. I used it as my litmus test of whether I should go get help.
I'm not shooting up in a truck stop bathroom, which they're filming it. You're always like, how are they filming it? How are you not just like, stop?
I know. Like, and also, how did they get you to do this? I know they do trickery. Eventually, they started having to shoot them in Canada because we were all like, I think every addict was hip to their tricks down here.
Addicts love that show.
Yeah, I love that show, and there's still to this day episodes that I think about, like, ooh, I wonder how that lady that drank Scope.
Yeah, that was a tough show. But no, my mom, because she was in the emergency room, she would see like weird sexual accidents, like
The
that show,
bottles
like
up the ass.
yeah, and
Animals,
she's like,
squashes.
people always have like a weird story, like I guess I just sat on it. It's
Yeah,
like,
you're like, okay.
you're like on the driving to the emergency room, like I gotta come up with something quick. I gotta.
Do you have like, okay, what's the story?
What's the story? I guess I just sat on it.
I know.
They're gonna buy it.
I would love to be the ER nurse to be like, oh yeah, that happened. I do that all the time. And they're like, really? And you're like, no.
I get it. Just kidding. I'm making a TikTok about this. Nurses, I mean, like the nurses are like so traumatized by COVID and like people just like showing up and like spitting in their faces, and now they're just like getting back at everyone by making TikToks.
It's good for them, because I feel like the country has gone full circle with nurses. Like in the past, they would be like, nurses are bitches, and then the next thing you know, we are clapping for them.
Yeah,
in the street corners, like. It's up and down, and it's nothing that they do any different.
Yeah.
And then there's theories about nurses that I've seen on TikTok. A lot of female nurses believe that the girls that get into the nurse professions were the mean girls in high school.
I have seen something about that. Yeah, it's so interesting.
Then I'm like, what is happening? Why would that be a profession that mean girls would get into?
I feel like it's more like you just get so deadened inside from people treating you like a waitress, which it's also a nightmare to be treated like that as a waitress.
I think about that all the time, because I waited tables and people are horrible, and that's just like over mozzarella
Ketchup,
cheese.
yeah.
But you're like,
yeah.
I can't imagine what it is in life and death. I had a friend that worked in like hospice.
Oh, brutal.
And he said it was interesting because it's all cancer patients, but then everyone thinks that they're important, but you're like, yeah, but everyone here has cancer, so you have no leverage.
Yeah.
So it is an interesting thing of like, when you're dealing with ailments, you do feel it. How can you not? It's personal and it's happening to you, so there's a self-centeredness to it as well.
Yeah.
But then you're like, oh, everybody else, I'm in this place where everybody else is going through shit.
But I want to be a star.
A few years ago, I went to the ER in New York because they said it was colitis, but there's no way, because I don't have a history of stomach issues.
You were eating the bag spinach.
I was eating the bag spinach, and I assume it's E. coli, but they said it never showed up, but they pumped me with so much Cipro before I did any tests that would just kill off anything. Unless there's a doctor out there and you know better, then feel free to like interrupt.
And thank you for listening.
And thank you for listening. Yes. I was just like shitting blood for over 24 hours straight, and not just shitting it. It was just coming out of my body.
Oh my gosh.
I had no control over it. And I remember just being in the ER room, and there's kind of weird homeless people that end up in the ER. And this guy comes into the room and he's like, can I borrow $5? Where you're like, what was I going to be like? Oh, yeah, just my purse is on the seat.
Yeah.
To see what's ever in there for you, while I'm just like shitting blood, where I'm like, now's not a good time.
Oh my gosh, that's brutal.
It's insanity.
So brutal.
And then I got my own room. And then as soon as they found out I had no insurance, they sent me into a room with like 4 other people.
Oh my God.
And one lady is like, there's one lady that you're like, how long have you been in here? Like, it feels like you just live here. She's
Yeah.
like comfortable names with the nurses, and then she's like just talking to you as if you're best friends, and you're like, oh God.
You're like, please, something really scary is happening to me right now. And I know. And then you think, like, in your mind, you always think it's going to be like New Amsterdam. And you're going to be like, they're going to be like, we know what it is.
Yeah.
We're in a relationship that's secret, but we were just talking about your ailment and we put it all together.
We've been working on it
Yeah.
so hard.
Meanwhile, they're like, well, we're out of water.
Yeah.
So.
Here's some shitty ice cream that melted that you can eat. And then nobody knew what I got. And then eventually the Cipro or antibiotic that they pumped me with just killed whatever. And then I was just sent home. And then to this day, I'm like this, what was that? I have no idea.
Wow.
And then the weird thing too is I also, instead of calling an ambulance, because I knew how much money that was, I just got an Uber.
Yeah, you have to.
Isn't that crazy that
ambulance
we
is
put them
like-
in danger because we can't afford? I
Well,
knew it wasn't contagious.
Well, I mean,
I don't think it
there's
was.
supposed to be a thing where they won't accept you now, or they either have to have like their own liability insurance, because like if you died in there, like then they could be sued.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's really sad about it. We're like, oh, sorry.
I'm just
Sorry, Kevin. I just need to go to the hospital and I'm fine. Meanwhile, you're just like seizing. They're like, what am I supposed to do?
I know. But that's why I'm like, ugh, I hate this country
Yeah.
with medical shit.
Yeah, I'm proud to be an American.
But cue American flag.
I'm proud to be an American.
I wish we had a producer. Jenny, can you get on that?
Yeah, that would be great. That would be so great. Well, Lady Journey. Welcome to Lady Journey.
Welcome to Lady Journey.
We started off with two stories of medical trauma.
Yeah.
One for each of us.
And just completely neglected topics.
Well, we have some topics and we're going to get into them. But before we do, I want to say thank you for listening. And if you're out there, just know that we would love for you to give us a 5-star review on iTunes.
Yeah. Rate us, review us, share us.
Please share us and tell a friend.
You know, if you work in, like, say, a dentist's office and there's just like tons of ladies and I know you listen to music in the background, put this on.
Oh, just put us on. We're talking about shitting blood while someone's having a teeth cleaning.
I think I also use in the
I'm like, hey, what is this? This sounds really good. But no, what's the journey that we're on today? Oh my gosh, I'm on an exciting journey because, as everybody knows, I got back from vacation in the last episode, and I am rethinking my relationship to the routine. I am somebody who I really thrive in structure, and I basically do the same thing every day, and I'm trying to like really balance it between being like super rigid or, you know, too lax that I'm just kind of like flying off into a mental spiral where I'm like, I'm not getting anything done.
Yeah.
This is what I'm doing now, though. I started this ever since I came back from Christmas. So, and then during the vacation, I was like off the rails, and now I've like really started to reintegrate it. I wake up in the morning. I'm waking up around 10. I do a little visualization. I go to the kitchen. I make my detox smoothie, which is in the Best Green Smoothies. That's on our blog.
Yes.
The detox one is great. Wouldn't it be hilarious if the text that you just got just popped up on there? It's like, I'm going to suck you off tonight. Like, what, Joe? You know?
I just found out a friend of ours just has COVID.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Who is it? No, just kidding. Don't say it. Out them on the podcast. So sorry. That was a little bit of a rabbit hole. But my morning routine. So I get up, I do a visualization, which I took from the book Creative Visualizations by Shakti Gawain. That's a great book, and I totally recommend it. And it's all about just thinking about what you want in your life and just doing it first thing in the morning and last thing before you go to bed. Then I have my detox smoothie. I have a coffee. I'm doing a 30-minute free writing where I'm just like organizing my thoughts for the day, or just like writing anything about like kind of like pumping myself up and like getting excited about what I'm going to do. Then I'm doing an hour joke writing. Then from the hour joke writing, I'm doing my 45-minute heat workout by Caroline Gervon. And then I'm doing like shower, more food, and then the rest of the day is open.
Yeah. And then spots.
And then my spots later when I have them. Thank you. Thank you for booking me in, please.
When you're at the cellar.
When I'm at the cellar, where, as you know, I work somewhat frequently. I am somewhat of a regular there, and look for me there on Tuesdays.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm working. The thing about the routine is it's just so great for me because like I don't have to think about like what's next. You know, like sometimes you have a day off, and I don't do a routine on Friday or like Saturday or Sunday because I just need to have that open time.
Yeah, and also we're doing like the shows on the weekends are, I think, stressful because it's weekend warriors that are coming out.
Yeah,
It's work.
it's work, and you have to be like rested up and stuff for the shows, but yes, the routine is just so great for me because I don't ever have to think like, what am I doing next? What am I doing now? If I'm just doing the same thing. But then it also sometimes it gets to a point where like I do feel like I get out of touch with what's my own energy level.
What you need at that moment.
What you need at the moment. Yeah. So like sometimes maybe if I'm tired, I'm too tired to like do the workout. But I'm like, but the workout comes next. You know, then I'm like pushing through a workout, and then I'm like, now I'm injured. Like, yeah. So that's the struggle with the routine.
I have the same thing because I usually like I don't do visualization. My visualization is looking at TikTok.
Yeah.
For 30 minutes, and that really gets my dopamines up to where they need to be.
Yes.
Then I make breakfast, coffee. But then, like yesterday, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna watch Euphoria. Joe's gone. This is the only time I can watch Euphoria, a show about children fucking.
Yeah, love it. I haven't started the second season yet, but I'm going to.
But today, I was like, I want to go run. I want to do my run. I knew it was nice outside. I know that I feel always really good after a run, and it's usually one of the few things I do first thing in the morning or when I wake up, or like a yoga or a run. And I was like, if I go running, you're going to show up here, and then I'm going to be setting up, and then that's another hour wasted, and I'd rather be like productive. And then I was like, you know what? I can do yoga at night. But it is one of those things where you're like, once that's broken, sometimes I have a mental thing in my mind of like, well, fuck.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I get it.
Get in there. Yeah, where I'm like, God, my day is fucked. But you're like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Everything is fine.
Everything's
you weirdo.
Fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think I have like a rigid type A personality type where it's like, if I have my smoothie, then my coffee, then my free writing, then I'm never going to die. You know? And
this is the key to success.
Yeah.
Even though I know a lot of successful comics just smoke pot all day and watch reality TV shows.
Yeah, and they're just like kind of like, oh, this is funny. I'm like, I've been cranking out stuff for 4 hours. But I think like that's I'm going to try to keep it going forward of like a loose routine, but also like first half of the day.
Yes.
First half of the day.
I love the first half of the day. Joe and I talk about the second half is there's a moment around 3, and it's kind of what we talked about in the past with your, what was it? Burnout.
Yeah.
There's a moment of, we call it the suicide hour.
Yes.
You feel like this, I'm not doing enough with my life.
Yeah. It's like you have so much energy, you make so much plans, and then you just get so tired. Like at the beginning of the day, I feel like I'm like, wow, I'm so energized, and it feels like it will just last an eternity.
Yeah.
And it lasts about 2 hours. And then I'm like, I'm exhausted.
It's a come down.
It's a big come down.
Yeah.
And then you have to like replenish. If you're going out at night, it's like you gotta get it back up.
You gotta get back. So with that one, I always tell Joe, I'm like, we're doing spots at night. You got to take a break right now because it's 6 hours out of our night sometimes, like from the time that we leave to doing all the spots with the running around.
Yeah. It's like a day job at night.
It is. There's quite a bit of time that goes into it. Like, yeah, I'll leave at 6. I'm coming home at 11. And it's not like I'm just like, a lot of it's like waiting in between, but I'm also like preparing for the next show or just running over and making sure that everything's running smoothly. Like the trains aren't all fucked up at that moment.
Yeah.
But now I've gotten into the state of like, I usually am like, have 3 things that I feel like I need to get done. And if I do those, then everything else is a freebie.
I think that's a really good,
Or maybe one thing.
I think that's a good way to look at it. Like I was, have I talked about this book on here, Essentialism: The Disciplined Pursuit of Less?
I have no idea because I feel like a lot of the book titles kind of.
They just go in one ear and out the other. I feel like
because they all have like the same kind of terminology in them. Like,
yes, it's always like, be a better you. Like doing less and getting more done. Yeah.
Yeah, the minimalist mindset for the maximalist.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you're like, okay, what?
Unfuck my brain. They're all literally the same.
Yeah. And, I always joke that they're like this, that thing you don't want to do? You're going to have to do it. Yeah. It's the Nike slogan.
Yes. Well, this book, the guy wrote a companion piece. It's Essentialism: The Disciplined Pursuit of Less, which I'm also constantly talking about this book to people I know. And then he did a follow-up one that was called, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on it now. It was called, it's something about minimalist work, It's all about like
how to do the bare minimum.
Just doing the bare minimum. But it was like, sometimes, especially when you are like a productive person, you just end up overcommitting and feeling like you have to get everything done, and then you can never feel like you can rest. But it's like, instead of trying to do everything, just be like, oh, I'm just going to do these few things that are the most important thing. Mm-hmm. And then everything else, like, I'll get to it when I have more energy.
Yeah. I do a to-do list, and I don't ever make sure that I do it all in one day. I'm like, some of them are I just carry them. They're rollover duties.
Yeah.
That eventually I do get them done, but I'm just like, as long as I know that it's out there, and obviously it's not time sensitive or I would do it right away, or it's not something I want to do. Because that's the other thing I keep telling myself. If it's not getting done, there must be a reason why it's not getting done. Like, maybe it's not something I want to do.
Or maybe you don't have time to do it.
Yeah.
That's the thing, I think, about the Essentialism book that's really inspiring. Because it's like, oh, sometimes you think you have to do tons and tons of stuff. But actually, whatever your goal is, if it's not bringing you closer to your goal, then it's like, oh, this is just a waste of time.
Yeah.
You get so many opportunities in terms of like, oh, like side hustles, day jobs, like passions, and you can't say yes to everything.
Yes.
You just have to basically be really disciplined about like, okay, I'm not going to be doing a show in a forest for $100. That's a 40-minute walk from here, I only know the shows I should have said no to when I get there, and it's too late. See, this book has this great thing. It's like a qualifier checklist where it's like, if you're going to say yes to something, you have to have
my mind.
3 qualifiers, right? It's like you have to meet. For me, I did one for shows because at this time I read this, I was saying yes to everything, and then I'd be like, I'm losing money. This is not good for me.
Well, because we're told
say yes.
Say yes to everything.
Work breeds work,
and it's not true.
It's only true at a certain point, and then once you get past like to an intermediate level, and I think this is true for stand-up, but I think it's true for anything. If you have like your own business, or even if you're in any pursuit, but so you have like this list of 3 to 4 things, and it's like, if it has to meet these 3 to 4 things. So for me, it was like gigs, right? So I was like, the gig, I have to get at least $500.
Okay.
I have to have a hotel. I either have to be able to get there easily.
No transfers.
No
bus transfers.
No flight to Antarctica. Okay. and then the 4th one, I think for me, I put it has to help in my career. So it has to be 3 of these. Yeah. So maybe I'm not making $500, but it helps with my career. Yeah. Or maybe it's easy to get to, and it's really helpful, but there's not a hotel, but okay, I'll figure it out because I'm making $500 or whatever. So it has to have 3 of those 4 things. And then if it has 3 of those 4 things, then it gets passed on to a second round of qualifications.
Exciting. This should be a reality show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Congratulations. You made it to my to-do list.
Hello, dinner theater. You've made it to round 2. So then the second round of qualifications, it's another 3 set of things, and it's like it has to meet all of those. Okay. So it has to be, if it's doing all those things, then it also has to be like fun or like something.
Does this guy make me feel uncomfortable every time I go there?
Yeah, you can't feel uncomfortable by the host grabbing your thigh. Yeah. So
Yeah, because I had a show. There was one in Washington Heights, and I remember doing it pre-COVID, and I kind of forgot about it, and I got asked, and a very nice person, and I said yes, and then I forgot that it's all the way in Washington Heights.
so far.
It's so far. It's an hour train ride. That's actually like an out-of-town spot, actually. I'm sitting at ACE at Times Square, waiting for the express
Brutal.
to catch. I guess somebody jumped in front of it and it stalled. So I'm waiting for 45
Rude.
minutes. I was livid. Livid. I couldn't make it to my 10-minute spot that would pay me $20.
And at the state of the mental health. The mental health. But no.
But it's like then I go, let me see how much he's paying. It was $20, and I had wasted almost 2 hours, and I hadn't even gotten there. And he's like, let's try again. And I'm not doing it.
Don't do it. And I know whose show you're talking about, and it's not worth it. And I actually did do the show, and I was like, that was not worth it.
Yeah, because I remember the last time it was like 4 people in a weird bar upstairs, and it's in a neighborhood of people that don't want to come into the city, and they're already in bed at that time, to be honest, because they're actually just like
It's
people that work in the city.
Yeah, it's like good people with families who don't need to be blindsided by stand-up comedy.
Yes, exactly. But there's tons of I did another one on the Upper West last night. It was 3 people, and the 3 comics were like, or the 3 audience members were people that just started stand-up. And I now think stand-up comedy is one pyramid scheme.
It is a pyramid scheme. It's like, hey, just all you have to do is start a show and bring 3 friends, and then they have to bring 3. It's like, no.
Yes. Well, it's also like anytime there's like somebody that's like, oh, I really love watching stand-up, they're going to start doing stand-up in a year. So I feel like all people that love stand-up are just
They're
wanna
just
be comics.
moments away.
Moments, yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, it's getting back to the routine, though.
Yes.
Getting back to the routine. I want to say this before we move on from it, because one thing that I found that's super helpful for me in my personal organization is I have a Panda planner. Have you ever used one?
Mm-mm.
It's huge. So it does not travel well. It is a giant book. It's like
Picturing you opening a suitcase that has like a tripod legs.
excuse me, my planner needs its own seat on the plane. It is huge, although I have to say, it's not the hugest planner that I've had.
You're like, it's an abacus.
It's an ancient planner. I did have a planner once that I swear to God, it was like 8 by 11, but it was like 3 inches thick, and it was called an infinity journal, and it's really great. Because it comes with stickers, and it's all about like having your dreams like manifest into reality. And it's great, but it's like you can't take it anywhere because it weighs like 10 pounds.
I know those planners. Oh God, I love those planners with the
love a planner.
Ziploc and the stickers.
Yes.
Yeah, and it has a snap thing. I don't use those anymore because of the phone, but I remember I just love the act of buying them.
They're so great. But I still use the Panda planner, but I don't. If I have to travel, that's the only thing. It's like and I have the month Panda planner. If you're listening, you're like, I have one, it's small. I have the big one. I have the big one. But it's so great because it has like a free writing section at the beginning of the week. Mm-hmm. So you like free write everything that you need to do. Okay. Then I organize it by category. So then I'll organize, like, I have Lady Journey. Then I have all the stuff under Lady Journey that I need to do. Then I have under that, like, if I'm going to do my article, which, check it out, Dollar Store Skincare. Ooh. Then I'll have to, like, all the stuff I need to do for the article. And that helps me to just look at everything I need to do in the week and then be like, what do I need to do today?
Yeah.
Then just picking a few things instead of, like, having one of those, which I still do. I'm trying not to, but having, like, a day where you're like, I'll just have a red eye and do everything.
Yes.
I'll clean out my inbox.
If I wake up at 7 a.m.
Yeah, and then it never gets done.
Waking up at 7 a.m.
It never gets done, and then it's like 1 a.m. and you're like, I've done 2 things because I've been so over-caffeinated. Then you get over-caffeinated and you're like, and I have to call my grandmother. And you're like, hello. It's like you're adding your needless stuff.
Okay? Yeah, just gonna let it blow.
I'm getting so much done today.
I can tell.
Anyway, so that's my journey this week.
But I'm with you on the planner.
I love a big planner.
I like videos of watching women bullet journal.
Oh, I loved a bullet journal.
I know, but you're like, how long does that take?
It takes a long time, but
Because
once
they're making their own calendars.
Yeah.
Wild.
It does take a long time, but then it's like once you get used to it, it's like, oh, it's
your routine.
That's kind of what I do when I free write. So it's like it is about 30 minutes of just like going over, being like, hey, today's going to be fine. Everything's okay.
It is, because it is weird as you in your adult years, you have so many small little activities that you need to get done that you can forget about.
Yes, absolutely.
Birthdays, anniversaries that you have to remember, sending a thank you note, mailing off something.
Buying flights. Oh my gosh.
It's out of control.
It's so much. But I love the admin stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is better than trying to be like, think of a joke about society.
I agree. Admin stuff is so relaxing for me because you're like, that I can do.
Just cross it off. Meanwhile, you're like, write a sketch, and then it's just on the list for 7 days.
Mine's like, write a film, and that's been 2 years now.
Yeah.
It's just, all of that's brutal. But yeah, I love the activity of journaling and all.
And I love crossing off. That's why one reason I still have a paper planner, because I just crossing it off. It's like, satisfying.
Oh yeah, it's kind of like when you also give yourself a freebie, like wake up.
Yeah.
Done.
Yes. You're welcome.
Woo. Yeah.
So what journey are you on this week?
My journey is, I was talking to another comic, and it just reminded me of an outlook on life that I've been living lately.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels not Lady Journey, but I think it is Lady Journey. I've decided any choice that I make is based on kind of like, what would Jesus do, but more general. What would a man do?
Oh, I love it. Yes.
Well, I think of what pertaining in my life of like, I remember one time I got an agent, and he's like, I got you a gig. And it was a show called In Florida, in Boca Raton, where you're like, I don't hear any of my cool friends doing this show.
Boca. Ooh, it's for the elderly. The sexiest retirement community.
Oh, yeah, sign me up. I have to walk along a farm road to get to it. It was called Broads Off Their Meds, and it was an independent show, and the guy that booked it came in before we went up, and he's like, the show, ladies, it is called Broads Off Your Meds, so somewhere in your act, if you could just mention, I'm a broad and I'm off my med.
No.
It's for the branding, and it helps. And then for me, I'm like, if you tell me something 5 minutes before I go up, it is going out the ear, because I already have kind of like nervous energy, so I didn't do it. But at the same time, after I left, I was annoyed by something like that.
That's so, it's like, first of all, it's so insane to request that. Like,
absolutely.
Can you make a hacky joke that we ask everyone to do that's offensive both to you and to anyone on medication?
Absolutely. And the idea of like women doing stand-up is fucking bonkers, that they have to be off their meds.
Yeah,
like,
I'm not a woman making observations about my life. I'm a mentally ill person on the run.
It's so insulting. I was so annoyed with it. But it was one of the first times where I'm like, you do think, you're like, this would never be asked of a male comic.
Yeah, it wouldn't be like boys off of their Viagra.
Yeah. Yeah, because, I know this joke has probably been made, but if it is guys off their meds, they're not telling jokes. They're beating the shit out of you or just sexually assaulting everybody.
Yeah.
Which they do anyway.
Yeah. When they're on their meds.
When they're... Exactly. But I'm like, no guy comic would ever do this. And it got me thinking, anytime I'm requested or something feels off, or like if I'm like, would a guy do this in my profession? And he wouldn't.
Because I really like the way you said it as like, what would Jesus do? Because I think you can
he's
keep
a guy
it that.
too.
Because he's a guy.
Yeah.
What would Jesus do as a man who demands respect in every scenario in his life?
Boundaries.
He flipped over the table at church because they were selling in there. So I will flip a table if I'm not given the respect I deserve. But you know what? I think that's a really great point that you have, because I have a rule for myself, because I think as a woman too, we are trained by society to pick up on other people's emotions in a way that guys are not socialized to do.
Yeah.
So like women, a lot of times, I hope I didn't talk about this already in another podcast, but women, you know, if someone's like kind of off put by you, a woman is way more likely to notice it than a guy and not to be like pushy. Meanwhile, guys are just like pushy, and then people are like, nah, whatever.
Yeah.
I'll
he's
just
driven.
I'll just have him on my show, you
Yeah.
know? But I think of that a lot of times, especially if there's anything to do with money.
Yes.
I have a rule for myself that like, if there's money, if it's not being presented immediately, if it's not the amount that it was agreed on, I never, ever let it slide, even though that's always what I want to do. Like,
Yes.
somebody said they were giving me like $300, and I look and it's like $250 or something. I in my mind, I'm like, it's actually not worth it for me to, it's not worth $50 for me to now get in a confrontation with somebody. But I know that if I don't force myself to do it, I'll just never do it.
Yeah, and it's like a habit that you kind of have to
Yeah.
should get into.
You have to practice.
Money's a good one.
Yeah.
As like, what would a guy do? Where you're like, I know a lot of times if I'm doing, I will go ask male comics what they're.
I do that too.
Yeah.
I do that too. And then I'm like, oh, I feel sad that we're both getting shafted, I guess.
You're like,
I thought it was just
we're all
me.
ladies here.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, there's just like aspects of like, what would a guy do in this situation, or like what would he ask for?
Yeah.
But that's just like, I wish I had more like to expand on. That's basically
No, that's
it.
great.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? We are about at time for this one.
Yeah.
So get out there and live your life like a man.
Like
you know?
your man, like I do like the idea of like, what would Jesus do, but as a white
Because
male?
he was a man. Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? I think that that's a great place to end.
Yeah.
So thank you for listening to Lady Journey today. We covered a lot. We covered
Insurance,
the medical community.
Yeah.
And whatever I talked
To-do
about. Oh, yeah.
list,
My organization.
Routine,
My routines.
and then live yourself. Transition into a man.
Yes. In your lifestyle.
As Lady Journey.
As Lady Journey. Bye.
Bye.